The month has been the dance of life, and to acknowledge that there is a rhythm, there's an energy, there is this amazing syncopation when we are called to this thing called life. Today we're going to talk about the dance of relationship. And in the dance of relationship, there is an amazing energy, and it's called co-creation. And in the energy of co-creation, there's a give and the take. There's the equality in the relationship. And I can remember several years ago, I was doing some research, and I came across this amazing story about a new minister in Brooklyn. And he and his partner, his wife, bought kind of an old, dilapidated old church. And they bought it in October, and they thought, we'll open it up Christmas Eve. It'll be our first service. It'll be wonderful. They got out the paints. They, got friends involved to do some carpentry work and all the things that it takes to up-level something and rehabilitate a building. And finally, on December 19th, they thought, wow, this is great. Look at the good job with it. They felt wonderful about it. And so they went home, and there was this amazing storm for 2 days. And when he went back 2 days later, much to his dismay, is the roof had leaked. And it leaked on the back wall right behind the pulpit, and a big piece of plaster fell off. So he thinks, there's no way we can cover this up. I'm just going to have to postpone the service and the opening. This is a mess. I don't want to present our first service looking like this. So he got in his car. He was kind of dejected. He got in his car, and he saw, kind of in the park, there was a flea market sale. And he went in, and there was this amazing, amazing tablecloth, about 20 by 8. And it was all embroidered in gold, and it was ivory, and it had this amazing fringe. And he thought, I'm going to take it back to the church and see if it covers that spot. So he purchased it, he took it back to the church, he put it up, it fit perfectly and actually added to the energy of the room. It was so beautiful. In the center of it, there was this beautiful star with these great, wonderful rays coming out of it. He was elated, just elated. And a snow flurry started, and he noticed a woman that was waiting for the bus, and she was running, and she missed the bus. So he said, come in, I'm just doing a few things, little touch-up things in our church. We're having our first service on Christmas Eve, and we're very, very excited about it. And come in for just a moment. So she was shivering, and she came in, and she sat down in the pew, and suddenly she was awestruck. She looked up at that tablecloth, and she said, where did you get that tablecloth? He said, I found it at this wonderful flea market, and just fit this space perfectly. And she said, I embroidered one exactly like it 35 years ago. Would you look in the far right-hand corner and see if EBG is embroidered in as the name? So he looked, EBG was embroidered in the name. And she said, 35 years ago, I lived in Austria with my wonderful husband. We were very well-to-do, and then the Nazis came in. We had to leave our beloved home, and my husband sent me forward. And he said, go to safety. She said, I was arrested, and I was put in a concentration camp. I never saw my husband again. I never saw my family again. And to see this tablecloth here today is such a miracle. And the minister said, let me give it to you. Obviously, this is a divine appointment, because we know energetically that nothing happens by chance. And she said, no, I want it here for everyone to enjoy. I put so many hours into it, so many years into it. Everything was so intricate and beautiful. And they had their Christmas Eve, he insisted on taking her home after this, right? Took her all the way to Staten Island. And Christmas Eve came, they had their service, And it was joyous, it was almost full, it was snowing, it was glorious. And he noticed a gentleman in the back row, sitting there, contemplating. And he said, "May I help you?" And he said, "I'm just awestruck by that tablecloth. 35 years ago, I lived in Austria. My wife embroidered a tablecloth exactly like it. And I don't think there could be two. Where did you find this tablecloth?" And he said, he told the story about going to the flea market and how it just covered that amazing eyesore of plaster falling off. And he said, "I would like you to meet someone." And so he invited him in his car. He took him to Staten Island. They climbed 3 flights of steps, knocked on the door. She opened that door, and there was her husband from 35 years ago. Neither one had ever married, or remarried, I should say. And there they were, and he said, it was the most glorious reunion I had ever experienced. So when we look, and I thought, think of the weavings, the tapestry of life. Think of the energy that goes in to a weaving. When I was in Italy, I was always struck by the tapestries, but I was ever aware that the dark threads created the images that came forth. If there was just light threads, there would be no real image. But the dark threads in our lives, the energy that brings us to that point of co-creation, the opportunity that we have to know that wherever we are in life, that we are all in spiritual relationship and co-creation and spiritual partnership. That the new paradigm for marriage is spiritual partnership. That there is no submissive part of the relationship. Co-creators, co-equals come together, bring to the altar of life, this is who I am. This is what I have to share with you. And we know it's very scary when we have differences and we don't know exactly how to put them on the table. But integrity is a vital part of a relationship. And to share how we are feeling when the darker threads are there for a reason, to bring out the imagery, the sacred motif, the energy that is there for us. And when we get it, that all of our relationships really are spiritual partnerships. And out of these spiritual partnerships, we have an opportunity to go to the next level and not come from that energy of blame or bringing up the past. That's just the worst thing we can do. I have counseled so many people that one or the other of the spiritual partners or the spouses bring up their whole, it's an amazing file of things from the past that no longer serve. That's done. That was then. This is now. Let it go. This is the new day, the new paradigm, the new opportunity. And it's interesting, that I am widowed, that Neil Stroud made his transition on 7/11/77. Our daughter was 7 years old. We had been married 12 years. And we had an amazing co-creative relationship. And he did also teach self-image psychology at the university, and so did I. And so, we had a lot of the same students. And we had this amazing relationship. But not without all the work, because I came into the relationship very insecure, from an abusive alcoholic family, and very defensive. And the height of defensivism is when we have low self-esteem, and we don't feel good about ourselves. And we've been in that critical energy for so long that the slightest thing will set us off. And I was that way. And I remember Neil saying one day, honey, it's not World War III. It's sort of like pass the salt. You don't need to get defensive about it. It's just about a flow. And when you really realize how loved you are unconditionally, you won't need to do that anymore. And I was 21 years old. I was seeing a psychiatrist. I absolutely got it. And we found science of mind. And when we found science of mind, this way of life, that said, all cause, effect, record, and memory of anything that we have ever gone through has served us. We bring it to the altar so that that wounding can become a sacred wound and we can serve others out of it. Because all the weavings of the tablecloth are bringing us to that point of reunion with ourselves. The door opens. There we are, eye to eye. There is no time or space in the universe and the mind of God. So when we, that is a man-made thing. It's an invention of, and it's good that we live in this world. It's very ordered. We know that order is heaven's first law, right? Mm-hmm. So when Neil passed away, I mean, I want you to know, I don't exaggerate. He really was a saint, and everyone said that. He taught 5th grade English as a second language, and he said he also got his broker's license because he needed to support his teaching hobby. So we made our money in real estate. And I said, we're teaching, these principles, we're learning these principles of prosperity, and, we can't even make ends meet. We have to do something differently. We have to call on the universe. You're getting your real estate license. So he went on to get the broker's license. And it's so interesting because when he passed away, and I moved to San Diego and was called to San Diego to that ministry. And I met a politician. He was the deputy mayor of San Diego, and I ended up marrying him. And this individual was very threatened of my work. In fact, I would hug someone at the door, and he goes, "You hugged him longer than him. What's that about?" And I go, "Oh dear, there's a situation." And I talked about universal love and universal light and all of this, and he was just never getting it. And so we went to the city psychiatrist at his request so that they could straighten me out. Oh my gosh. And so he excused himself to go get some water or something to the restroom. And the psychiatrist said, "Sharron, what I'm aware of is that you have a life's work. Do you want to make him your life's work, or do you want to stay in your life's work?" So when he came back, I made my decision. Don't let the door hit you or the dog bit you. But anyway, I made my decision that this was, I did not want a relationship that I was going to have to constantly, really affirm myself on a daily basis. So I've said to many, many groups that if you are widowed, we do kind of put them into sainthood. And, when they have passed on and they have died. And when you are divorced, you wish they were dead. So, especially when you're going through it. Then you get to heal that. Because we draw certain energies into our lives that are going to counterbalance something that we are not addressing in our lives. And he was a rageaholic. I mean, phones went through windows, all of this kind of thing. And I got it, that all of that suppressed rage that I had, and pretending that all is well and wonderful, that I needed to address it. I needed to let that come out so that I could really heal it, because we have residue that comes out. And if we want a co-creative relationship and a co-equal relationship and spiritual partnerships, which is the highest octave of any relationship, is a spiritual partnership, then we have to come to the table having done our work. We're all a work in progress. We're all learning new things, aren't we? And it's so fascinating that when we begin to heal ourselves, and I was invited to San Diego to this amazing UCSD, the university was having all faiths represented. And they had, at the front of the table, they had, some major players in fundamentalism, the Baptists and some major players in the Methodists, and then they had the priest, and then they had the rabbi, and then they had me, and then they had the black minister next to me. And I kiddingly said, because there was this, whole crescent, I said, "Oh, I guess we're the back of the bus," we laughed. And so the students, we had like this conference, and all faiths and ecumenicity and coming to a point where we can meet. And so, one student would get up and he would go to the microphone in the audience. There was like 4,000 students in the audience, and they would address the rabbi, and they would address the priest, and they'd address the Baptist, and then one student got up and he went to the microphone and he said, "This is for Reverend Sharron Stroud." I thought, oh good, finally me. And he said, "It says in the Bible, in the book of Corinthians by the Apostle Paul, that no woman shall step up and preach from the pulpit. How do you reconcile this?" And I said, "Well, you know, dear," and I'm like in my 30s, "it's like this. Since the beginning of time, we women have never listened to you men." And I want you to know it took 15 minutes to get the whole body, the student body, back from laughing so hard in the aisles to get a sense of decorum. Because sometimes the best way to alleviate a situation is humor and to just let it go. Because there are times that we just need to agree to disagree. And if someone cannot do that, we let them go. Go with God, but by all means go, right? Energetically, it's not a match. Remember what Tesla said, if you want to know the secrets of life, think of energy, vibration, and frequency. So when we look at our lives and who we draw in, it's to grow and to unfold and to be all that we can be. Fritz Perls said it beautifully. I am not in this world to live up to your expectations. And you are not in this world to live up to my expectations. I am I and you, and if by chance we find each other, it's beautiful. And if not, it can't be helped. It's okay. It's not a vibrational match. So it doesn't mean we don't love people or we don't wish them well, but we realize that we only have so much energy, and I really want to give it to the people I love. And you know what? I want to receive it from the people that I love. That nurtures me. That nourishes me. That allows my soul to bask in the energy of the Holy I Am presence within each of us that are greeting that Christ consciousness, that place within us of compassion that Buddha talked about. Man, woman is the result of all that they have thought. So to have a healthy relationship, it takes courage. It takes compassion, it takes forgiveness, and it takes a letting go and allow God to flow through it so that when we sit down and we are still, we come to the table together, that great cloth, the weaving of the cloth so that we have this reunion one with the other, and that oneness has always been there. That there is no time or space in the energy of the universe. There's only our oneness. And to open the door and see the eyes of our beloved and recognize that it was within us all the time and that we are never, ever alone. That is what makes all the difference. I love you. I am grateful to be here with you. And I know where we're going. Do you? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. And so it is.